I'm devastated, mate.
How are we doing, guys? And welcome back to All Leeds TV. I'm here with Tasha. And yeah, as you can tell by the title of the video, it's not a good one, guys. It's not a good one. We knew it was coming, didn't we? Let's be totally honest about it. But Leeds United and Manchester City have agreed the fee with Kalvin Phillips. We're going to discuss the fee. Obviously, you guys hopefully will have already seen Jack's video. If not, make sure you check it out. It looks like the fee's a low one. Well, let's say not just a low one, an effing low one. Because I don't want to get demonetized because I was about to swear in the first half and half the second. But yeah, 42 million apparently. Apparently there might be some add-ons, but we don't know what the terms are of the add-ons. Either way, 42 million is looking like the possible fee. We have paid 5 million for another player as well, whose name does actually escape me. To be honest, to be totally honest with you, his name does escape me. I can't believe it, to be honest with you, Tasha. I can't believe that this is how KP's leaving the club. It just all seems so sudden, quick, and cheap, if the fee is to be believed.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I think we all kind of half expected it. We've been saying it for a while, but it's still gutting, isn't it? Like when it happens, you know, you don't want him to go, and especially not for that kind of money. You know, there's not that many great midfielders in the Premier League, and we should be hanging on. You know, we've just escaped relegation. You know, why do we just? I thought we got out of this like selling our best players and things like that. Like, it just seemed nice that we haven't done that for a while, and it's just really pissed me off as this. But I just think, yeah, just for that money. I mean, I know he's injury prone, but I just think we could have got more for him. And it's not so much like he's worth more than 42. It's the fact that how much other players are going for. So, you know, the fact that Grealish went for 100 million. He's not worth 100 million. And he went for 100 million. So why are we so fucking crap at doing business? Like, we're just absolutely poor at it.
There's two. Listen, the first thing I want to mention as well, I didn't want to be disrespectful to Darko Giabi, who has come in the other way. I just honestly haven't heard of him before. That's just a totally honest thing. And for him to be valued at 5 million from the under 23s, he must be a good player. Let's just have it right. He must be a good player to be valued at 5 million. But it does seem high for a player who we don't know about from the under 23s. We will do our research on him, but yeah, that's just totally come out of the blue in terms of another player being involved. But I don't want to be disrespectful there to Darko Giabi. I will mention first and foremost. But if anyone does know anything about him, please put it out in the chat. But there's two things that really annoy me about the whole deal. The first and foremost, I'm annoyed for Leeds more than anything because, let's be honest, the money, time that we've invested into Kalvin's career, since his debut at Wolves, I think in 2015, his scoring in his home debut against Cardiff, I remember being there for both moments. That's a long time. That's 7 years, just over 7 years now, I think it is. All that time in the academy as well, building up to get this chance in the Leeds squad. All that time under Bielsa, all that time before Bielsa, building up to be the player he is today. And now a top 6 clubs come in and they're just going to enjoy his best years. And they'll never, the sad thing is, it's not a reflection of Kalvin, but he'll never be appreciated by Manchester City fans in the same way he was by Leeds fans, because Manchester City, he's just a number at Man City. Everyone's just a number at Man City because every single player at Man City is world class. And Kalvin himself, for me, is at that level now. But that's what really upsets me, is the fact that Man City are now going to get his prime years, probably, at 26. He is heading into that kind of territory where they're probably going to get 5 or 6 really good years out of him. And then the second thing as well is that for a club like Man City, 42 million is absolutely nothing. It's not even a commitment for Man City. If it doesn't go right for Man City, they can just ride it off at 42 million because it's quite low actually, a fee by Manchester City standards. So you think it's not even a risk for Man City. And if you invest in a player of this kind of talent, it has to be some kind of risk element to it. But listen, we don't know the ins and outs of whether a transfer request was put in, all these other bits and pieces, how much Kalvin's injury record in the last sort of 2 or 3 years has sort of reduce the fee, because let's not forget Kalvin did play less than half our games last season, but still for it to drop down to 42 million, I just think Man City have got a really good deal out of that. But yeah, I think the other thing as well, I've seen a couple of people kind of say, isn't it wonderful he's playing Champions League football? But I'm delighted. I am happy for Kalvin, because look, he deserves to play at the top level, and he's been a fantastic servant to the football club. He has just been fantastic for us, and he's been an unbelievable story in terms of how he's risen from, mid-table Championship, hardly getting in the team, to being our main player in the mid-table of the Premier League. It's an unbelievable rise, and then obviously the England stuff as well. But for me, I'm fearful when I look at what happened with Jack Grealish. You mentioned Grealish there, Tash. He was the king of Birmingham, in terms of for Villa fans. Kalvin was the king of Leeds, and now he's gone to Man City. He's not a regular, and I just really fear the same for Kalvin. And I really hope I'm wrong, because I think Kalvin deserves to play regularly. But when you look at Rodri in his position, I think that's quite sad in a way. In terms of if another top six club had come in where he would have been a guaranteed starter, it would have hurt a lot less. If he'd gone to an Arsenal or something, I could probably have took that more than him just going to Man City and possibly being a backup option to Rodri. I don't know if I'm making any sense there. I'm probably not, but I'm rambling at this point.
What I'm gutted about as well with the whole Man City thing is that they're just taking players off people, and it's like nothing to them. Like, it just doesn't really, like, they're just like I do what I want club now, and it just, who's going to compete against Man City anymore? It's just fucking awful, because it disrespects, I think, Kalvin and Grealish. That the amount that Grealish gets slagged off by Man City fans, they go, "Oh, he weren't worth 100 million," and they just slag him off all the time. I'm friends with Man City fan, and they hate him. And then you just think, well, is that going to happen with Kalvin? Probably not so much, because the price tag is low. But he's not. Who's to say he's going to play that well without Bielsa? He's only ever played brilliant with us under Bielsa, so I guess that makes it a bit more acceptable with the price tag. And maybe that's the risk that Man City were thinking of, and the fact that he's injury prone. But it just annoys me how, like say about Man City, they just, they're just like, oh, I'll just have him, I'll have him, it's like walking into a shop and buying everything just so that a poorer person couldn't have them. But it just, it does. I've seen a lot of people wishing him well and going, yeah, blah, 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 and just shaking it off. But I do feel a little bit bitter, I'm not going to lie, and just think we should have built on, we had a bit of a shit season, don't get me wrong, but, we should have built on what we had from the season before. We've got Jesse Marsh in, we've got, players coming in and just bringing a whole new atmosphere and everything. And then it should have been that, build the club up that you love, that you've worked for your entire career, and you're a Leeds fan. Would you not rather see? I don't know. I guess it's about money at the end of the day. It's a job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, listen, at Man City, we're not going to deny the fact that Man City has got a much better chance of trophies. You're probably pretty much guaranteed 1 or 2 trophies a season at Man City at the minute. Thank you very much to Leeds United Ultras for the super chat. The fee is good with the injuries he has had, and 27 in December. Better replacements coming in. I mean, the injuries is one thing. I mean, thank you very much for the super chat, but it's going to be very, very difficult, I think, to get a player even at Kalvin's level, never mind better. But if you can get someone in who can play more games than what Kalvin has done in the last couple of years, then yeah, maybe okay, we can build from this. And I don't think we are a one-man team in that kind of sense. I don't think we have been really at all in the last couple of years. I think we have very much always had 3 or 4 really good players in the team since Bielsa. The Bielsa era started, even under Jesse Marsh. We've always had 3 or 4 really good players. So it's not so much a case of that. I just think the gap between the top 6 and the rest of the league, I don't think has ever been any bigger. I think you really see it with something like this. You said about Grealish, you said it about Phillips, obviously. It's sad though, it's tough now. It shows how tough it is to bridge that gap to the top 6, because they can just it is like pocket money kind of thing. It is pocket money to earn 42 million. And listen, some Man City fans are coming into the chat and all this lot. It's not just about Man City. This is about the rest of the top six. It's difficult for the clubs outside the top six. Surely you can see that now. It's difficult for the clubs outside the top six. This has been a lad who has played for Leeds United for almost 20 years in terms of if you include his time in the academy and obviously coming into the first team. We've put a lot into Kalvin's career, and for his prime years to go to Man City and for us to not get what I think is his valuation. I don't think we've even hit his valuation, and it's just the fact that I don't know. I know obviously Grealish was never worth 100 million, but when you're selling one of your main talents, it means so much to your fan base.
Yeah,
just feel I don't know what the reason for the low fee is, but
I know you said we're not a one-man club, but we did build our team around Phillips, and we've seen that the whole lot of last season without him, we were just shocking. And even the season before, he had 5 games, and it was like we was all saying, out of all them 5 games, we lost 5 games. And then as soon as Phillips was back, we were brilliant again. So it's like we have lost one of our main assets, and midfielders are so hard to come by, like the quality. I mean, I guess, we've got Forshaw and maybe Bate will come in and sit in that role, I guess. Or is it just because he doesn't fit in Jesse Marsh's system? Will he have a completely different system, and that's why it's not looked at as that bad to them? I don't know.
I think, it's when I say with 3 or 4 good players, obviously Raf and Kalvin are our best 2 for me. I think if we lose both this summer, it's going to be very, very difficult to come out of this transfer window with a stronger squad, saying that we've got a stronger squad, because those 2 are everything. You've almost got to sign 2 players to replace Kalvin, someone with Kalvin's passing range and someone with Kalvin's tenacity off the ball, because you don't get one player who offers both these days. Mark Rocker, I think, is a really good signing, but he only really offers you the passing range of Kalvin. He doesn't offer you that kind of aggression and being able to hold the whole team together. And then with Raf, obviously, if that does come to fruition as well. But I think the thing I'd say to Charlie Brown here is that it's not our problem if he's a bench warmer. From a Leeds point of view, it's not our problem if he's a bench warmer. It's up to Man City how they use him. But the price should be the price, no matter what, really, for me, in that kind of sense. It shouldn't matter. I don't think Dortmund was saying to Man City, all right, say if Man City brought in Haaland and they didn't plan to start him from the off, I don't think that affected Dortmund's valuation of him at all. Grealish at Man City, Grealish going to Man City as well. I don't think Villa ever were really concerning themselves with what Man City were going to do with Grealish. No. I don't think that can come into the thinking at all. That's not our problem for me. Whether he's a starter or not a starter. And to be totally honest with you, I don't think Kalvin will be a starter at Man City. I love Kalvin. I do love Kalvin of what he's done for the football club. But is he better than Rodri? In my honest opinion, he isn't. I think Rodri's the best in the world in this position, to be honest with you. And I think he can fill in for Rodri, but I can't see, unless Man City change their system, I can't see him being a starter. But it's not our problem now, in that situation. To be brutally honest, it really isn't our problem, is it, Tash?
No, and I just, going back to the whole money side of things, we need that money. Villa did really well because the replacements that they got in for that money, and they really, really strengthened. And the club, to me, this is a wrong message, because they're going on and they've done 3 signings and that. But when have we ever just gone off and proper splash a load of money on one player? We haven't really. And I know, you say, but you'd rather have 2 or 3 more players. But I would like to think that we're getting, we're not a tiny club. We are. I just think we're a club that gets walked all over, and it just really annoys me. I just think this is just a bit of a joke. We just seem like a bit of a joke with this business. And I'm just really not happy with how we've, what's the most we've spent? 27 on Body Rodrigo or something. I don't know. I can't even remember what Dan James was. But
yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, obviously the players we brought in have been there's not been that eye-watering fees and that lot. But
I just want a certain player that you know that like proper shit hot player that is just going to come in. I know it's
I agree. I do agree. It's that's the one that really gets obviously the fans going and it builds excitement. But it's one of them, isn't it? It's who's available, in terms of obviously where we're at as a club. Obviously it's not just the top 6 now. It's obviously the teams outside that top 6. Obviously West Ham's, your Villas, obviously your Newcastles as well. Low key Newcastle might even make that a top 7 soon with obviously the money they've got. It's a problem for us. It's definitely a problem for us, and it's got to be clever recruitment that gets us back to that level that we were kind of at the peak of Bielsa. When we finished 9th in that first season in the Prem, feels like a long time ago now. And listen, I know obviously a lot of comments coming in saying, let's move on. I agree. Well, I will happily move on, but
this is very raw and very
new. It's still very raw.
Move on.
It is, yeah. It's for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, it's someone that you look at and you think it's the last kind of like player of that kind of like generation of like Cook, Mowat, Taylor, Byram from that kind of academy, from that same group of the academy. He played for Leeds, and by the way, out of the 5, he achieved the most by an absolute mile. So it is really, really difficult to see him go. I'm not going to hide away from that at all. And I do totally wish Kalvin all the best. I hope it goes well for him at City. I hope he starts regularly, makes himself a first teamer. Absolutely, 100%. But, and yeah, there's no problem with that at all. But I can't just like kind of say this is just a simple, nice transaction, because it just still feels to me like Man City have got a really, really good deal out of this, and it's no commitment at all to them. 42 million to anyone else outside that top 6 is a big commitment, but I won't stop repeating. I won't keep repeating myself anyway. But let's get some more comments in, guys. The other thing is, Tash, obviously Rocker's come in. It looks like Kamara, Tyler Adams is being spoken about. The big thing for me is whoever does come in out of Kamara, Adams, possibly even Sander Berg, potentially from Sheffield United, they've got big shoes to fill. Yeah. Big shoes to fill. And that's something that has to come into my thinking about which of the players to go for is, can they cope with the pressure? Because it is big pressure because, again, to a much lesser extent, Alioski went obviously last summer, Firpo went in. I'm not saying Alioski's the same level as Kalvin, obviously not, but Alioski's engine endeared himself a lot to Leeds fans in terms of the fact of how hard he worked, got himself up and down the pitch. And Firpo, having that 5-10% less pace than Alioski, attracts a lot of criticism for that because he was perceived as not working as hard. I almost think the same could be the case with the Kalvin replacement, that they've got to be able to cope with the pressure, because it is going to be big pressure replacing Kalvin Phillips.
I think that's a good point though, that Alioski isn't at the same level as Kalvin. He was lower, and even he was hard to replace. So imagine the likes of trying to replace Phillips. Yeah, it's gonna be difficult, and like I said, there's not hardly that many midfielders really floating around. Like, like someone put in a comment there, would Declan Rice have been sold for 42 million? You wouldn't think so, would you? Like, they wouldn't have accepted that. So why do we?
What frustrates me a little bit is West Ham are getting absolutely slated for their valuation of Declan Rice, but it's their right, isn't it? It's their right to value the player at whatever they want. It's their player. It's what annoys me with the English media sometimes. They say, "Oh, they're asking for this and that. They're trying to rip off other clubs." A selling club can never rip off the buying club, because the selling club just goes off their valuation of the player. It's not there. It's up to the buying club to decide if they agree with the valuation or not. They can never rip off the. It's what annoys me a little bit. And obviously when the Rafinha stuff as well. I've seen Barcelona fans moan him in that lot. He's our player. He's our player at the end of the day. Our valuation is our valuation. Yeah. If you want him, meet it. It's as simple as that. Don't start saying it's some kind of injustice. He's our player at the end of the day. So big thanks to Lee Waters as well, long-term fan of the channel, for the super chat. I think if it was Bielsa at the club, it may have gone different. Jesse has no attachment towards KP, has his own ideas. Huge loss though, marching on together, guys. Now, what I will say here is, Tash, is that I think Phillips in a Bielsa system is very different to Phillips in a Marsh system. I think in a
That's
Bielsa
what-
system, as you said, he was what pretty much everything was built around going forward and defensively. Feels a bit different under Marsh. What would your feelings be towards that?
Because if you think about it, like the last couple of games under Marsh, I don't think Phillips was up to his standard, and he went back to just, you know, booting them long balls all the time and things like that. Like, he was slipping back to how he was, and he has got that in him to do rash tackles and things. I mean, he might be completely different under Man City. He might, you know, Pep learnt from Bielsa. He's still that kind of style, so, you know, he might do really well at Man City. But I do think, I mean, before we have commented before that, you know, from good knowledge that Phillips didn't get on with Jesse. He apparently, you know, they were arguing and stuff like that. So I do think that this could be contribute to that. I mean, but was there any other? There must have been other bids for Kalvin. Why we just took? It's how quick it's been. Like, yeah, we'll just accept that. Like, why are we not like shopped around a little bit? I mean, I think weren't PSG going for Phillips?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's the shock element of it. You know, I didn't think it. I always felt like it would get done. I always thought like it would be like Man City would be the club. But when you saw those rumours of PSG, I thought, ooh, that's going to at least bump the price up a little bit. You know, another top European club involved, and who might have been able to give him more first team football or guarantee him more first team football, because PSG don't have a Rodri in the team. Yeah, so that's another thing. I just didn't think it'd get done this quickly. Maybe I'll calm down in a couple of days. We'll all calm down in a couple of days. But yeah, that's another big part of it as well. It all seems to have been done really, really quickly. You know, when you see other kind of like deals, like say like Harry Kane last summer when he went on an actual TV show with Gary Neville saying, you know, basically saying, "I dream of playing for Man City" and all this. Like, he might as well have put a Man City shirt on and all that. And then that deal didn't happen, and you know, Spurs were able to kind of like get the maximum price. That's the shock element to me. And I'm not. We've only heard one side of it. All we've heard so far is the club and the club. We've not heard, did Kalvin ask for a transfer request? Did this and that happen? What are the add-ons?
Weren't Leeds meant to have given Kalvin a new contract and all this stuff that they were saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know when Kalvin last signed the contract. I don't think it was that long ago. I think it was about 2 years ago, something like that. But I do have the feel. I do agree with what Lee's comment before about Bielsa. I don't feel like. I don't know. I think eventually Kalvin was always going to move on to a top six club because he's a fantastic player.
We've been saying it for a couple of years. Like, even when we was in Championship and we didn't get promoted that first year under Bielsa, and we were going, "Oh, Phillips is going to go," and then it was like, "Oh, then he stayed," and then the first year we did really well. It was like, "Oh, he's going to go," and then he didn't. But after he changes it, then it's like, say, Bielsa.
Well, Villa came in for him, didn't they, after that first season when we didn't go up?
Even then, if Bielsa had stayed, we had a shit season. Would that have affected it though?
Possibly. I mean, yeah, the results will always affect it. I mean, it's just ever since that Euros, when he played so well in front of such a big audience, and you know, it almost felt to me like last summer this could have happened. So there's no way last summer Kalvin would have gone for 42 million. There's no way that would have happened. That's what the really upsetting thing is about it.
When he played for England the other day, he wasn't even as good as he was playing in Euros and that. So, you know, I don't think he's up to his standard anymore.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's still getting up to speed because he's been injured most of the season, and I think that England game as well. I just think everyone looks crap playing for England, to be honest. But I think the other games Kalvin did okay, to be honest. I think he did okay in the other games. I think I don't know what Southgate, to be honest, is doing, to be fair. I don't think that's helped matters either, the fact that obviously that's happened in the last couple of weeks. But I mean, listen, there's comments about Man City have taken a risk. Man City haven't taken a risk. 42 million is not a risk to Manchester City. We need to get away from this. Man City, even if Kalvin doesn't play a minute for him, still have other world-class footballers who can win him a league title or a Champions League. There's no question about that at all. It's not a risk to a top six club, a move like this. this is a big thing. But I don't want to sound like what I was very critical last season of the Villa fans in terms of how they were salty towards Kalvin Phillips. Not Kalvin Phillips, sorry, Jack Grealish, is saying that, oh, he's let us down, all this and that. I don't want to sound like that. I don't think Kalvin Phillips has let us down. Like, I don't have a problem with Kalvin Phillips taking this move. I think Kalvin's a fantastic lad. He's got a great family behind him. I'm absolutely buzzing that all his hard work's led to this. But the difference was, obviously, Villa got a big fee. So I don't want it to be about that. It's just the fact that Man City haven't taken any sort of risk here and got a really good player out of it. And I'm more annoyed at like the gap now between the top 6 and the rest of the league. I think it's just got absolutely insanely big. And everyone says how fantastic this league is. The Premier League is the best league in the world. But when you see things like this happen, you kind of say, no, it's just it's a league where the difference between the top and bottom is just absolutely enormous.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's absolutely enormous. It's like a championship. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to be in the championship again, but you look at the championship, anyone can beat anyone in the championship.
Yeah.
You don't see moves like that happen in the championship because there's not a big difference between the top and bottom. It's just the Premier League. It's one of the bad sides of it for me. It's very plastic, I think, the Premier League. And this is it. You look at people like Grealish, Phillips, probably Rice will be next or leave West Ham. I just think they're going from being like the boyhood clubs, and now they're going to be like almost not loved in the same way, and it's a weird one, really. It's a really weird one, but yeah, guys, keep your comments coming in, and make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button if you haven't done already, and check out Jack's video too. Let's see some other comments coming in. CSD Brown, I mean, low key. I mean, obviously, I'm confident we'd win the Scottish League if we went into the Scottish League, by the way. It's not a good quality of the Scottish League. But low-key, you're starting to see that gap now. It's kind of a Celtic and Rangers is almost like your Liverpool and Man City in terms of their control over the whole league. Because I think the gap between Liverpool and Chelsea in second and third was like 20 points. That's enormous. And Chelsea got big money as well. So you're almost looking at it. I just look at it today, Tash, and think, how are we ever going to get back into Europe like we were 20 years ago? How's that ever going to happen now? It's like you really do. It's quite a depressing day, it's a sobering, depressing day in that kind of respect, if that makes sense. I mean, do you have the same feeling?
And just how much it's changed, like what a difference a season makes. Because last season, like not the one that's just happened, but the one before, like when we finished 9th, and it were like, okay, we're never going to really win the Premier League, but we could have been pushing for the cups and that. And we're saying under Bielsa, when we get more players in, and we could be pushing for things like that. And it was like everything was a step up. Like first year Bielsa, we didn't get promoted, but we absolutely smashed that league. Second year, we get promoted. Third year with him, we finished 9th in the Premier League. So you think, oh, what else can we do next year? We're like step up. And then it just all came crashing down, didn't it? It was just like this season it's just been awful. And then losing Bielsa, I know like everyone's got different opinions on whether it was right or not, but it's the fact that, we're not got that same hope and belief anymore. And then losing our main players, because let's be honest, Rafinha's going to go, isn't he? Like, and even the likes of Melier, is he going to go? And we're going to. It's like almost starting from scratch again, and it's just hard to feel that because we don't know what Jesse Marsch can do. We don't really, we don't know what's going on in training. Are they having a really good training? How are we going to break that mentality? How is it not going to just be a continuation from last season? Because that can happen. I mean, it happened from the pre-season, and it just seemed to drag into the season. And Dallas is obviously still not going to be training, and it's just like what we're signing, are they going to be good enough? And we need to be making loads of signings, I think, and obviously get the youngsters up more to scratch for starting again. Yeah.
If you ask people who are since we got promoted to the Premier League, or the last sort of 2 or 3 years, who's been our best 3 players, I'd imagine most people will say Phillips, Rafinha, Dallas. Next season, there's a good chance now, unfortunately, as sad as it sounds to say, that none of the three will certainly not start the season, and none of the three might not play a minute next season for Leeds United. That's the sad thing, and that's what it shows is how much we've got to still do in terms of to really rebuild and be in a strong position next season. And yeah, it's been mentioned obviously of the 50 to 55 million. We're only going off the 42. 50 to 55 million sounds more reasonable. So it definitely sounds more reasonable. It depends what the add-ons are, kind of thing. Obviously, I think every transfer has add-ons of some sort, I'm pretty sure. Certainly if fees that are going above side kind of like your 20 or 30 million. So I don't think the add-ons are outrageously different, but it depends what the terms are on the add-ons. If the stuff that's probably never going to happen that's included in the add-ons, is it any good to us? I don't know. And I keep saying again, I'm not annoyed at the club because I don't know what the ins and outs are of the deal. I don't know why it's so low. It just annoys me that clubs like Man City can now do this to clubs outside the top six. They can bully teams outside the top six because it's not just Man City. I won't just go on Man City. Liverpool, and so we've brought Carvalho from Fulham, and they've got him for a ridiculously low fee. Fulham have done all the work to develop the player. Liverpool have tapped him up in the middle of last season. Tapped him up, done sort of like a pre-contract arrangement. Again, it's what the top six clubs can do. They might get a fine in terms of for bad behaviour and all this lot, in terms of for approaching players like underhand, all this and that. But it's nothing to them. It's pocket money to them. The Super League, they all got about a £3 million fine each. They make that in a minute. They make that in a minute, don't they? These kind of clubs. This is what really, really annoys me. It's the mentality of these clubs. And I'm not even targeting supporters. I'm more targeting the boardrooms of these clubs. It's the arrogance of them to set up things like the Super League to bully teams, in terms of to selling their best players in that lot. And
exactly,
it just stinks, really.
Yeah, this is feeding their ego completely. Have to just buy. So like Kalvin is everything to us, and to them they're just like, yeah, I'll get that, and it doesn't matter if he works or not. And it's just the ego of that, being able to do that. It just takes the fun away from it. Like I say, you wouldn't be having that in the Championship, but also the fact that we've had to buy a player off them for 5 million as well. Like that wasn't even included in the deal. We still had to buy him for 5 million.
This is it as well. Yeah, I mean, I still. And I will emphasise as well, I wasn't being disrespectful to Giabi at the start of the video. It's just, he's genuinely someone I've never heard of. I would be surprised if any Leeds fans have heard of the player. It just seems 5 million for someone who hasn't played a first team game for Man City seems really, really heavy. And listen, he might be a really, really good big talent. But it just feels weird in this kind of deal for something like that to happen to completely out of the blue. I think it was totally different players mentioned. If it was like going to be I think Lavia was mentioned at one point in terms of who was going to be involved in kind of like a swap deal. It's a shock really that the whole. When I was reading the tweet, I thought, is this a joke? And I was looking at the tweet, I was thinking, if someone created a Fabrizio Romano thingy account, like a fake, if someone created a fake Phil Hay account, I looked at it first of all. That's got to be like a fake account or something. I went to Fabrizio Romano and thought, hang on, this might actually be happening. It's a strange one, isn't it?
It's because I had it as a notification. It said Sky Sports, and so that really hit me because it wasn't even like is that real? Like, boom, hit, we've sold him. And I was like, shit, like, okay. It wasn't even that, there weren't really much talk before it. And, there's been loads of talk about Rafinha and going to Arsenal, Chelsea, Barcelona. I don't think there's really been that much talk of Kalvin. But I just wanted to mention about this is that, Phillips doesn't fit with Marsh's system, but who's to say Marsh is going to last all next season? Marsh isn't set. Phillips was. Like, Phillips, we know, is a certified brilliant player, but we don't know that Marsh is going to work as our manager next season. So just to bank everything on Marsh, I think is a little out there.
A player of Phillips' quality, you can't say he doesn't fit a system. He's a quality player. He's one of our best footballers.
Anyway,
he's got the adaptability. In that last game at Brentford, he was on it. He was a big part of the reason we stayed up. He was absolutely superb. He marks Eriksen out of the game. He was a big factor in the win. And people say the same about Rafinha, but at the end of the day, Rafinha and Phillips were the two players who produced unbelievable performances to keep us in the league. And I can't agree with that. And the reason the whole thing just doesn't sit right with me is that Man City journalists were talking about this months ago. You got Barcelona Football Club publicly talking about Rafinha. It's poor. It's poor, of these football clubs. These teams in the Super League think they can just talk about whoever they want. You got Man United leaking all stuff about Eriksen and all this lot. They want Christian Eriksen. It's poor. You don't see Leeds United do things like that. You don't see Victor Orta go on a live TV broadcast talking about, I want this player, I want that player. It's all these things play a factor in the deals and that lot, and it's just, I don't think it's right, to be honest with you. And listen to Man City fans who think I'm being salty there. I've nothing against Man City. It's just the nature of what the league is now. And listen, Pep and Kalvin getting to work under Pep Guardiola, turning up to training with Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland, Bernardo Silva, all these different players. It must be like a unbelievable pinch yourself moment for Kalvin when he walks into training for that first time. And I'm not going to deny that. I'm not having to go at Kalvin Phillips at all, but it does gut me that his prime years will not be spent at Leeds United and will be spent, at a club that's just not played any part in his development up to now. It's but that's the nature of modern football, isn't it? It's the nature of being in the Premier League. And unfortunately, we might have this to look forward to with Rafinha in a couple of weeks. Another depressing chat on YouTube. But wow, 400 of you in the chat. Thanks very much for your support. Anyway, I do want to have a chat about Diaby, but I need to watch some minutes for him playing. Really, it's but to be fair, Man City fans are massively rating him. But just 5 million seem a fair fee, Man City fans in the chat. Genuinely interested in this, and that's it. In terms of what Dan's microwave saying, Phillips will be on the bench like Grealish. It's one of them, isn't it? But if he's winning trophies, who knows? It might have been worth it.
Thing is, I think he's got a bit of a snippet from England, what it feels like to be in a club and be, taken seriously. I don't think Leeds is a club that just gets taken seriously. I think we're a bit of a joke, if I'm honest, just about our whole demeanour and everything. I just don't think we're like, I don't know if I'm just being a bit of an arsehole about our own club, but maybe he just wanted to. He's had a bit of taste of what it's like to be with top Premier League players, and has it gone to Phillips's head a bit, and he wants to be like all that. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's when you do get a taste of obviously training with top players, like world class players in training, then maybe you do start to think it. And we'd be naive to think that Sterling hasn't had a conversation with Kalvin Phillips about signing for Man City. Be naive to think that hasn't happened. Or Grealish. I know Grealish and Phillips are friends anyway. Be naive to think they haven't had this conversation about it. And listen, if you want to win trophies and you want to win the Champions League, the Premier League, then this is if Kalvin looks back on his CV and that's on it. Yeah. It would have been worth it for him, won't it? I can't question that.
That picture of Phillips with Mason Mount smiling, I was like,
it's horrible, that, wasn't it?
What are you doing?
Like, of all the players.
Faces. By the way, everyone's saying about me not smiling. I've got an ulcer here and it's really hurting. That's why I'm not really smiling.
Well, we've just lost our second best player. You expect him to be smiling and celebrating, going, "Hey, he's gone." What do you expect him?
Yeah, I'm not in the greatest of mood here and that, but yeah.
It's what a Friday this has turned out to be. I mean,
I know. I was
at 5 o'clock.
I've just got a new job. I'm split up for holiday from a 2-week holiday going to Spain and everything. I'm like, yeah. And then I was sitting down. We were both in the pub, and he was like, "You're having a fucking laugh." I was like, "What?" It was like, Phillips is gone, and then we're having a scroll through, and then it said 42 million, and I was like, wow, that was the thing that pissed me right off. It weren't even so much Phillips going; it was how much.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. Yeah, it's how quickly it's happened. And yeah, it's obviously another player being involved, a player that hasn't even been mentioned at all in anything. It's just, yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. But all the best to KP at Man City. No question about that at all. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, picture of KP in a Man City shirt. It's already depressing. In a quiet Etihad Stadium when he could be playing at Ellen Road. It's listen, Man City fans will be saying that I'm deluding and all this lot, but it's depressing for us Man City fans. It's depressing. We've lost one of our own.
Someone's put here, enjoy Jack's. Oh right, sorry, I read that wrong. Ignore me.
Yeah, as Tom says as well, it's a ruthless business. It is a ruthless business. If we were in Man City's position, winning trophies, all the money in the world, you'd be loving it. Let's be honest, you'd be loving it. But yeah, if we don't get 100 million combined for KP and Raf, it's very depressing. I can't deny it. It's very, very depressing. Obviously the investment put into both players, it would be very, very depressing.
Jack,
depressing.
You're wanted.
Come on, Jack.
He did want to come on, and I was like, "You've had your rant going." No, come here.
No, you're live, not live.
Yeah, we're live.
You really get away with those sausage roll shoes at Man City. They'll embrace that at Man City.
Right, what's this? I'm still live.
Everyone's asking where you are. So.
Right, I'm here. I ain't got my vest on, like
You need to get right in.
As a City, this is interesting. This is an interesting comment. As a City fan, that's a big thing to emphasise here. As a City fan, I think Phillips is probably worth about 75 million when you look at the value of other English players. Yeah. English footballers' tax is massive. We've seen it with Grealish. We've seen it with so many different players. Yeah, it's like you said, Jack. You could probably argue.
Right. This is my massive argument about all this, right?
Yeah.
We have just sold an England international for 42 million.
Yeah.
Plus some unknown 18-year-old kid. Would he part of the deal or whatever? And, he's an established. We're going to go to World Cup in Qatar, right? He's going to play in the centre of midfield with Declan Rice, is not. Does everyone agree with that? He's going to play with Declan Rice in the centre midfield. He will be starting for England in the centre midfield. 42 million for a central midfielder, an English central midfielder. You've got that Basuma from Brighton. They just Tottenham signed him for 25 million, didn't they, over there? I don't know who he plays for. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely flipping ridiculous. Can I swear? Can I swear?
You might as well.
Fucking ridiculous. No, but it's not about, to me, it's not about that Kalvin has gone to Man City. I have not got a problem with Kalvin going to Man City. Right? He wants to play Champions League football. He wants to be wherever he wants to play at the best levels. But the transfer fee is an absolute disgrace. And £3 million of add-ons. What are they all about? What's the add-ons? Why shouldn't it be £3 million every time you win a league, every time you win a cup game, every time you win this, Man City, because they will win whatever, it's ridiculous. It's wrong.
Yeah, and this is the thing I was saying at the start, is that I even said Darko who at the start, whoever I said at the start, some people would say it's disrespectful. It wasn't meant in that way. It was just the fact that it's a really weird deal in that kind of sense. We're signing someone who I've never seen play. I've never actually heard of this player before. And it's like Barcelona selling Sergio Busquets and bringing in a complete unknown for 5 million. It doesn't happen, does it, Jack? That wouldn't happen.
No, do you know what this seems to me like? It's like what Barcelona have done with Rafinha. We're Barcelona. We can do this. We can do that. We'll just offer you this amount of money.
Yeah.
And you will sign for us. Man City have just done the same fucking
thing. Exactly. It's what the big clubs are doing. They're taking the piss.
Man City, right? This is what pissed me off, right? I remember going back to Main Road. I remember beating Man City 5-1 at Main Road years back. Man City are no bigger than us. They're not. right? It's not about. I'm not. Man City are bigger than us now. They've got more money. They've got everything they want. They can buy anyone they want. But in history, Man City are no bigger than us, right? That's the top and bottom of it. It's like all this bollocks with Arsenal, right? Buying Rafinha. They're not even in Champions League, so why are they even trying to bully Leeds United? It's like we just getting bullied all the time now by these clubs. Man City, 42 fucking million. This is where my head goes about this, right? What owners have we got? What have we got? Why are they taking 42 million for fucking Kalvin Phillips? He's an integral part of an England fucking midfield that is going to play in the World Cup. How can you've got Jack Grealish 100 million? Man City paid 100 million for him. What? Because he's got fancy hair and he's.
Well, ask you the question, Jack. Is Jack Grealish?
This is me fucking right off. Does this?
Is Grealish worth over twice what Kalvin Phillips is worth? No.
Grealish is a different player to what Kalvin.
But he's not worth twice Kalvin Phillips.
No, he's not. Not in a million years. He's not in a million years. But he's a different kind of player, right? He's a flair player. Kalvin.
Oh yeah, they're always worth more, but not that much will.
He's fucking.
Should never be that low a fee.
This deal has baffled me tonight. It has really, really baffled me tonight. And all I'm looking at is that we've got an owner that is ready to sell up, and he's looking at right. I made this much money this year to get out of his tax rebate for the next year or his tax bill for the next year. That's what I'm looking at. That's how I can see it, and I can see now what's going to come up now. It'll be Rafinha, 28 million, 30 million from Arsenal or whatever. Look.
Oh, that's really well that Man City Vision fan is.
Even Leicester got 80 million for Maguire.
Oh, 80 million. Please. Maguire went for 80 million.
Look, FC Vision, if you do not want to send me over the edge, that was the worst fucking comment ever.
You've just took our local lad and you've decided to remind us in the comments that Harry Maguire is valued at twice what. Why are you kicking us while we're down, Man City Vision? Why are you kicking us while we're down,
Look, Oscar, I know I'm ranting and raving here, but
this is the thing, though. Maguire went for almost twice what Phillips has gone for. And you look at, oh, man. That's
but you've got to look at, right, I'm just going to play sort of devil's advocate here, right? It's two different positions, isn't it? Right, Harry Maguire is a centre-half, yeah? You're all right, MC Vision. You're all right. You
depressed us further.
You've just fucking stole a player off us, so yeah, you can be sorry as much as you want.
And now you're taking the piss about it as well. It's like, fuck's sake.
Look, I'm still in my work clothes, so don't think that this is how I dress, like, or whatever. No, but it's. I think it's the thing to me tonight, Oscar. It's the transfer fee. I just think we've just had his pants pulled down completely. It is, and that's what's getting to me. And all I'm looking at is the owners, and I'm looking at are they on right? Let's make as much money as we can, and then sell on to the 49ers, which we know what's going to happen, don't we? But this is ridiculous, and I'm just waiting for Rafinha announcement this week.
If we don't get 100 million combined for Phillips and Rafinha, then it makes all the work we're put into those players just pointless, really.
So everyone's saying about Jack Grealish is because he had a release clause. That's why he was so much more.
Yeah, but the release clause as well, it limits you to what you can sell the player for. In terms of as well, there's two sides to the. And I get what Chris is trying to say, but there's two sides to that kind of story as well. But listen, the players were brought in. I'm happy with the players were brought in, but this massively affects everything. In terms of obviously the fact that Phillips and Rafinha probably are going to go by the looks of things at this moment in time, the way things are going. How do you strengthen the squad in time for next season, which starts in 6 weeks' time? I'm going to add, with two of your best players gone, and not for even particularly big fees at this moment in time.
Right, I'm going to be optimistic here. Right, I'm going to say I've seen a few things from a few of them young players. I think that Lewis Bate that we have got is an absolute fantastic player. Right, I'll say now. Do you remember when obviously we had that discussion when Bielsa came in, and it was either Ronaldo, Vieira, or Phillips. I'll admit, that Ronaldo, Vieira went. I went. Wrong decision. Wrong decision. Yeah, Bielsa made Phillips what he is. Now, I'm going to look at this now. Could Phillips be the same player in a different team? Could he be the same player under Guardiola? We don't know. Because I think that that Phillips played his best football ever under Bielsa, didn't he? And then
well, this as well off Ray. Sorry to jump in, Ray. This is why I'm not necessarily jumping on the club too much. Is that we don't know about things like this. Has there been a transfer request put in? You know what's happened. You know, has Phillips asked to go? And this all might play a factor as well in the price. You don't know yet.
I think England has got to his head, and he just
there's possibly that as well.
Marsh, and I just think he's
I'm not blaming Phillips, by the way, that he wants to go to play for Man City. There's no one's going to blame him for that. He's got a chance to win trophies and play with Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland and under Pep and all these different things and that lot. And you know, when you look back on your career and you get a chance to do that, you're going to take it, aren't you? I'm not denying that at all. But this one hurts, though, doesn't it? It feels like one from the bake stage. This in terms of we've got a low fee. You know. Feel like someone else is going to go as well. It just feels, if that makes sense, you know, when you obviously sort of like, you know, Snodgrass and Gray will go in the same summer.
Oscar, these different things. The transfer of Kalvin Phillips going to Man City does not bother me one bit.
Yeah,
it's fucking money. It's the money. We have literally had our pants pulled down, slapped on our ass, and been bummed royally. I'm telling you, we have. It is as simple as that. It is. That's what's happened to us, and that's why I'm so fucking fuming about it.
And listen, George, I never said he did. I'm just saying we don't know. We don't know why the fee's so low. There must be a reason the fee's so low. But whatever it is, it doesn't feel good enough for us to get such a low fee. There's so many reasons why it should be worth at least 50. I've said a couple of weeks ago when I did a video on the initial interest in Kalvin, we should be pushing for at least north of 50 million. At least north of 50 million. It's just horrible, isn't it? But let's try and be positive. Villa got 100 million for Grealish and bought Coutinho for 17 million. I wouldn't panic just yet. Listen, it's one of them. It's about clever recruitment now. It's not necessarily about how much we spend, but it's a big ask. It's a big ask. And they didn't get Coutinho in straight away. It took them 6 months to get Coutinho. So it's hard. And we've got only 6 weeks now until the first game of the season against Wolves. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if there's anything else to chat on. Is there anything else we can chat on this?
It's just fucking shit, isn't it? It's shit. We've been bummed over again. That's all. That's just how I'm looking at it. I think it's bad ownership. You know, all I'm waiting for now is like Rafinha for 22 million to fucking Arsenal next week. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, people have been asking about like Rafinha, but Rafinha, because he's a flair player, for me, has to be worth more than Kalvin Phillips. Just for the fact of the position he plays.
This is where I go now, right? No, I disagree completely.
Really?
Yes, I do. Because Kalvin does a job. Right, Rafinha can just do something for maybe 10, 15 minutes in a game. Whereas Kalvin is there constantly monitoring what's going on. I know when I play football, if you had someone who were there in front of you, you can have your flair players on wing or something like that, but they're not going to, should I say, win your games. Yeah, they can win your games with a bit of magic, but you'll always have that player in front of you that is just doing the naughty, the dog shit stuff or whatever, just the stuff that you don't recognise, that you don't understand. You know, but your flair players are the ones that always get recognised. But would I have, if it were down to me, would I have Rafinha or Kalvin? I'd have Kalvin all day. I'd have saw Rafinha before Kalvin would.
I know what you're saying, but I do still think Rafinha will go for more. Well, I hope he goes, because as you said before, it's the flair players that they're the ones that go for the big money. And I'm not saying if it's right or wrong.
from what I've seen today, he'll probably go for about 8 million
That's
more.
the thing. We've not got the confidence in our board now to get.
I've
these
no
good.
confidence.
I've got no.
I've no confidence in Rajiv anymore.
Let me speak.
Let me just finish what I'm going to say here.
I was right at the point.
No,
Shut up.
no,
right?
because a woman took over again.
Fuck off. Right. You've made me lose what I was going on. I've lost what I was saying now.
Right. I'll tell you now, right? I personally think Rajizani now is looking at selling up. That's what I think. So I think Rajizani is looking at how much money he can make in this whatever quarter, however the sort of tax reasons out to get past it. And I think that's what he's looking at. I do. So I wouldn't be surprised if Rafinha goes this week. I wouldn't. Because I personally don't think Rajizani gives two shites about Leeds United. I don't.
I just think that, I don't believe that, before we used to say, like, whenever there was rumours, oh, yeah, such and such is going to bid for this. We used to go, what, for his left foot? What, for his right foot? Because we had the confidence in the owners to reject that and laugh like we've laughed at and say, no, we expect the board to think of the value of the players the same way that we do. But they've just not got this right at all. Why have they accepted it so quick? Why have they not let other clubs try and battle it out? And
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying about Rafinha. Obviously Barcelona's been mentioned. Now Arsenal's coming in. That's good for us getting a good value for him because you got clubs fighting each other for the player. But the thing I want to ask Jack as well is that we kind of mentioned it before, Tash, is that people are saying that that's how we build, is reinvesting, getting in better players. But it's not just about getting a better player in than Kalvin or a player of equal quality. It's the pressure of replacing Kalvin Phillips amongst the fan base. You'll see, it's a big shoes to fill. You're filling the shoes of a local hero here. It's not easy.
Maybe then would it be that it would be a youngster that would have to come in and do the same thing, like maybe Bate.
Yeah, exactly. But we've heard this all before. When Bates, under Bates, we sold a player every transfer window under Bates, and it was all about, who can we get in now? Who's gonna like kick on?
Our player Bates.
Yeah, and then we started obviously selling like Becchio and bringing in Steve Morrison and stuff like this. It's not a good basis to go off that. And I'm not saying that's not what we're going to do, but I can't just go down that route. I can't go down the route that selling Kalvin Phillips is going to be beneficial to Leeds on the pitch. I'm sorry, I just can't. I cannot see any kind of way how you can say losing England's starting midfielder is good for us on the pitch. It might be good for us financially, this and that. It is not good for us on the pitch. We are weaker for not having Kalvin Phillips. No doubt about it.
Right, can I this to me is perfect. It's selling Phil Foden for 20 million. That's because of how important Phil Foden is to Man City. That's what Kalvin Phillips is for us. This is what's really baffling me tonight, and I'm going on about it. But why have we sold him for 42 fucking million? You know what I mean?
Can I just ask the chat? There's
something not right going on here. There's something not right. It's down to the player that he's demanded, I want to go, right? And you can all go on about, and Kalvin gives it all this Leeds, and this is Leeds lad and that. But he's also a person who thinks, my career, I want this. He's been around England. He's thinking, I want to play Champions League. I want to do this. I want to do what these players are doing. Don't be fooled because someone says they're a Leeds fan that they don't think bigger and better than what the club is. Because they will do. And they will. It's as simple as
that. Yeah, they will. It's one of them, like when people, it's a short career in footy, isn't it?
I'm gonna be honest here. I think Kalvin's got a lot to blame as well. I think Kalvin's pushed his transfer through.
We'll see. It will all come out at some point. It will all come out in terms of how this all happened and that lot. When you got people like Phil Hay and that lot, or David Ormstein, all these people that broke this news, that it will come out like how this deal happened. It always does with Phil Hay. So I will be interested. Will be interested what happens there. But that's, I mean, I've seen people saying that, yes, this is what Leicester City do, but Leicester got 80 million for Maguire. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you're looking at things like that. They got 80 million for Maguire. They didn't sell anyone for less than 50 of the star players. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's.
I mean, I'm just gonna. So I'm gonna have to go sort Charlotte out, but I just want to say, look, good luck to Kalvin Phillips.
Yeah.
You know, you hope he does so well. I want to see him progress. He's a Leeds lad. I just want to see him progress so far. I don't blame him for wanting to move. I don't blame him for the transfer. I just blame the club because they have took not enough money and they haven't. I don't know why, and we may never know why they never took it. What they should have done.
Just to try and thingy the conversation a little bit, because I think it has been an hour of depressing chat. What I will say is one thing, is that if we get the recruitment right, no one will be bothered in 2 months' time that we got less money for Kalvin, because they'll just be looking at the here and now and says, if we bring in a shit-hot holding midfielder, a shit-hot winger, left back, all these different players. We've got a super team next season. We rebuild and Jesse Marsh, gets this team going. People won't be bothered about that. That's all I'm going to say.
If it's really bad, then we'll be looking at this.
But yeah, it can go the other way.
I'm not going to lie. I still look at Ben White and think we should have got him rather than what we did.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. But not last season, the season before, when we finished 9th. I think everyone was still thinking, yeah, Ben White could be an improvement, but people weren't really talking about that because everything else was positive on the pitch. If everything's positive on the pitch, I don't think I'm not that bothered. To be totally honest with you, in terms of what happens off it.
Oscar, I'm gonna go after this, but what I'm gonna say now for me is Lewis Bate needs to start next year because he's the nearest thing that we've got to Kalvin Phillips.
That's what I was saying earlier. We need Bate to come in. Like when you're saying, is Kalvin the pressure of replacing Kalvin? That's what I was saying. It needs to be an academy player like Bate to come in and probably try and fulfill those shoes, because I think we would be more lenient with that as well. We'd be like, oh look, he's a youngster and he's coming through and everything, give him time, blah blah blah. If we just went and brought someone and he was shit, we would not give him that leeway.
No, I agree totally with you. But from what we've seen of Lewis Bate as well, I think he could. Could he not come in? I don't see no reason why he couldn't come in.
And then obviously you got Forshaw as well, and he's
but Forshaw could be like a daddy to him. You know what I mean? He could like breed him in. But
who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy? Yeah, but this
father figure.
Yeah, a father figure, and just like breed him into it. But that Lewis Bate, I think we've all seen, haven't we, enough of him to realise that that kid has talent. His talent, so.
But another point here about Ben White. Why it annoys me as well, more for the club than anything, is that Brighton had 1 season of Ben White. Brighton had nothing to do with Ben White's development. We had everything to do with that. But Brighton still got more for Ben White after 1 season of playing for them.
And
he goes to Arsenal than what we did for 20 years of Kalvin Phillips.
And how stubborn they were. They would not release him to us when we were like, going for him and everything.
He hadn't played a minute of Premier League football then, Tash, either.
Exactly.
At that time.
Yeah, but is this another thing of this? You remember the Big Six, the big fucking Super League thing that they try to start?
Yeah.
And like Arsenal coming for Ben White, they get him. We coming for him. Oh no, you've got to pay this much money for him. And it's like Arsenal coming for Rafinha will offer you 18 million, 20 million. Do they think we are just fucking idiots? Well, Leeds, you fucking United. We're not fucking idiots, you know what I mean? We were the biggest clubs in the fucking country back in the day. We're not idiots. And that's what's fucking annoying me about these clubs. They all think, they can do what they want with us. And I just look at it, we're Leeds United. We shouldn't be having the piss took out of us by anyone. No one at all. We shouldn't.
Can I just say as well, I've seen a lot of rival fans saying, ha, Leeds getting ripped off and all this lot. But if you're a club outside the top 6, this is a sad day for you as well, because you're getting bullied as well by the teams in that top 6. We're all getting bullied by the teams in that top 6. Let's be very clear about that. So I don't know why you'd be laughing about it, because your best player, if you're a West Ham fan coming in laughing, they're just going to do the exact same thing to you with Declan Rice. It's what's going to happen. I don't know. We're coming up to an hour now, guys. What do we think? But yeah, there is a top 6 membership club, and Newcastle are trying to join it. They're trying to make it a top 7. I can see it coming, to be honest with you. It's sad. It makes the Premier League shit. It's turned them into the SPL. It really is, in terms of the gap between the big clubs, the top clubs, and the rest of the league. It's getting ridiculous now.
Yeah. Reminds me of Kent Arthur Man United. It's the exact same thing. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It is.
I love this club, but to see it getting pissed around by a club who's got all the money in the world is just, I don't know what the reason for that is, but whatever reason it is, it's just sad.
But Oscar, right, you've got Mooney, Orta, Kinnear, Rajazani. Who's the one that has sanctioned this? Obviously, it has to be Rajazani, doesn't it? It's got.
I don't know.
He has to have the final fucking say, and say, right, who's signing this off? We'll sign this deal off. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace for 42 million for Kalvin Phillips, and I don't think I've ever seen a worse transfer in Leeds United's history. I am even like Cantona Man United for 900,000.
I don't know, John Kevin Augustin comes close. 18 million.
Well, yeah, but we didn't even buy him. We literally.
I don't know what happened with that 18 million.
Well, I don't know. I still can't.
When you take that off the 42, it really is like. Jeez, yeah, it's not
anyway,
good. It's not good.
Shall we leave it?
Call it off.
Call it off. Guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already, and smash that like button as well. Check out Jack's instant reaction to the Kalvin news as well. And if you do have any news or anything you've heard on what the add-ons are all about, we've not really spoken about the add-ons too much. Apparently it can rise to 50 or 55 million, but we don't know what those add-ons are, so we can't really comment on that. But guys, we'll leave it there anyway. Big thanks to Tash and Jack.
Just want to do a quick shout out for Skylights. They're touring and they're selling out everywhere. So just go and check them out as well. And I've done 2 music videos for them. So
have you? 2 new ones?
No, just in general. I've done 2 for them. So yeah, just go and check them out. They're doing absolutely brilliant at the minute. Yeah.
They're everywhere, aren't they, at the minute?
Yeah.
Be in Vegas next week.
Yeah, I think they've been over in Dublin and everything, so yeah.
Anyway, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you later. Cheers, guys.